Hey, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's kind of overcast this morning, but before I got my day started, I wanted just to talk a little bit about something that I witnessed and tried to mention to the parent in a tactful, sensitive way. Um, as you know, it's summertime. It's hot outside. Um, well, anyway, the weekend, last weekend, of course, I had the teens with me, and they were, they love to get the bubble tea. Okay, that's the tea with the little tapioca balls, gummy balls at the bottom. So they love that. So that's their little treat as their end cap for the day, if you will. So when I took them to do that, of course, with everything social distancing, they were up there in front of the storefront waiting on their drinks to be made. Well, I noticed that while I was waiting for them, I was parked. I stayed in the car. A lady parked beside me, and how when somebody parks beside you, I sort of glanced over and continued to look at my teens that were waiting on their drink. Well, about a good 2 or 3 minutes later, now the woman has gotten out of her car and she's also gone up there. So I'm watching, and my teens, they come back, get in the car, and my niece says, "Ooh, Auntie, that woman, she left her children in the car." I said, "What children?" Because the position that I was sitting, I didn't even know she had children in the car. And again, it was like 90 something degrees that day. And I noticed the windows were halfway cracked. Well, they were like mid roll down. All the windows was approximately mid roll down. And once they made that comment to me, and they got in the car and they were telling me that, or my niece was telling me that, and then I looked over, and as I began to, I said, "Really?" I said, "What children?" So as I began to pull off the, to my blind spots, I could then see that there was a child in the car seat and then another small child next to the baby in the car seat. And I was like, "Oh, wow, she did leave those children in the car." Granted, there was a row of bushes on the side of my car because I parked to the nearest park. But anyway, long story short, as I began to pull away, I pulled up to the curbside and just mentioned, I said, "Ma'am, you left your children in the car." And she said, And something just came over me, and I was like, wow, and I thought, you know what? Keep it moving, Tonya. Cause she was one of them. It was like she was one of them. So because I have a platform, let me just say this, people. Children's lives matter. And I think it's timely that I just go ahead on and put this out there. Share this video with whoever you need to share it with. I don't care if you do have your windows rolled down halfway and the car's not running, of course, and you're more than 200 feet from your vehicle and your children are sitting in the car. Parents, guardians, grandparents, sisters, brothers, aunties, uncles, please do not leave your children in a hot car, because their bodies, infants' bodies, small children's bodies have not developed like ours, and it ain't good for us either. But their lungs are still developing. that air is not circulating in that car when you're sitting in a hot car. And if there's no wind blowing, there's no breeze, there's no relief. So please do not leave your children in the car. And all this stuff was going through my mind. Do I need to call the authorities and all this other kind of stuff? And, you know, with everything the way it is right now, it really bothered my spirit. So, you know, I sat right there for a minute and I just prayed. And I just kept it moving. And my prayer was, Lord, keep and protect these children. The other aspect about that is why you don't need to leave your children in a vehicle. How many times have we seen where parents have their children with them in the mall, wherever they are? They're washing dishes and they look up and their children have been kidnapped. Their children have been snatched up at the bus stop. Their children have been, deemed missing, or they wander off and put themselves in danger. May not be that anybody snatched them up. They just wander off because we take that load of clothes out and we're just doing our normal everyday thing. You know, they were in the backyard playing. Okay, I got laundry to do. I got dishes to wash. I need to get dinner on. Husband is going to be home in an hour. I got to get all this going. And so while you are doing your normal thing, someone and anybody can jump off. Let's just say I was one of them. And if I had known, suppose somebody pulled up in a van and snatched her children out of the car while she's up there and she happened to be on her cell phone. And we hear so many times about parents on their cell phone, their children are at the pool and they're so busy talking on that cell phone that their children drowns. That's been a case not too long ago that's happened. So all I'm saying, this is a PSA. Parents, please do not leave your children in the car. I don't care if you got to run in and buy a gallon of milk. Take your children with you. Please, I admonish you, please. I beg of you, and that is my prayer. Please take your children in other words, don't leave them in the car. I know it may be a hassle getting them in and out for just a short few minutes, but take that hassle. Take that hassle. Because if that 2 to 3 minute hassle are long enough for somebody to snatch up your child, or long enough for your child to suffer heat exhaustion, you don't know the temperament of your body, of your child's body, when it's in extreme heat for any amount of time. You don't know how it's going to affect you. I've had to learn over the years, there's a certain medication I take that I can't be out in the sun for too long because it will deplete things. About if it's a certain temperature, I know I can't be out in the sun for a long periods of time because I will get weak and depleted. So I may know that as an adult, but children, you don't know until it comes upon them, and then now you know better to do better. But again, the PSA is, do not leave your children in the car. I don't care if it's for a minute or 2 minutes, because number one, their bodies may not can handle that heat, and then if there's no air circulating, and then number two, any Tom, Dick, or Harry could drive up in a white van, got fake license plate, even though there might be surveillance in that parking lot. Open up sliding door, snatch both of your children, and where we were located was right off the highway. So they could have got on that highway and kept it moving. And like I said, I went through the guilt and stuff like that. I said, well, you know what, Lord, I trust and believe that you've got them, because I didn't want it to be, because I had my teens with me, I didn't want to get into an altercation or a banter or anything. I have decorum. I know how to handle myself. But once she said, it was about her wanting to be on me about being in her business. But doesn't it take a village? And maybe just me saying something to her. Now, after she said, And I sort of drove off slow, and I noticed her get up and start walking back toward her car. And maybe that was all that was needed. But let me just say again, parents, please do not leave your children in the car. If my 15-year-old niece recognized that that is something that you don't do, and see, that's the other thing too. These children learn, whether it be through public school announcements, in the school. They have policemen, firemen come to their schools when they were growing up in elementary, talking to them about fire, talking to them about heat, stop, drop, and roll. All these things our children learn in school. And then they go out in the real world and they see that the parents aren't even adhering to what they are being taught to do. So like I said, I've been praying about it. I wasn't going to say anything about it, but I thought, no, because too many children die in the car because parents, I understand, I don't understand, but what I'm saying is, what I understand is, yes, we're all busy. Yes, we all are trying to run the rat race. We got to get stuff done. We don't have but 24 hours to get certain things done within the day. And there's a lot on all of our plates. But don't get so busy that because you were trying to save a hassle of getting your kids in and out of a car, but that hassle, those children are your children. That hassle has the potential to save that child's life or from being snatched up and kidnapped or anything like that. And I got to thinking about that thing. I said, man, sometimes we just don't even think. But like I said, once she did her, her neck, I thought, oh, okay, so she's one of those. She's not even gonna try to listen to reason. So, but again, do not leave your children in the car. Every year we hear where, dozens of children die in hot vehicles. Every year we hear about the human trafficking is just it's just through the roof. And we've got to care more about our children than that. We really do. So children's lives matter. Children's lives matter. Think about that. Think about that when you just trying to go run in and get some pizza, and it may be that you're getting food for your children, but also care enough for them to go through that hassle of getting them in and out of that car. So at least you didn't neglect them, you didn't abandon them, and you didn't child endanger. See, all that plays a role in those potential charges that could come against you. Neglect, abandonment, child endangerment, all that stuff could be heaping on your head if something were to happen to your children, all because you didn't want to go through the hassle. Sometimes hassles are necessary, aren't they? But anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but I just want to put that out there. And I'm sure in my lifetime when I was growing, raising my son, I can't remember, but I may have, let me jump out the car, running here. We may have all done it at some point, but now that we know better, we have to do better. And like I said, if I've done it, I ever remember doing it. But see, that's the thing. When you're young or even when you're old, when you're busy, sometimes you're not thinking properly. That's why sometimes it's okay to pause and slow down and give things thought before you proceed. So anyway, like I said, I thought, I prayed about it. I said, yeah, let me go ahead and make this PSA. Children's lives matter. And their lives have to matter more than you having to go through a hassle. Children have been given to us so that we can learn love, learn care, learn relationship. And I think about all the women who can't have children that would love to have children. And for us who do have children, We get out here and rah and talk about this and talk about that and Black Lives Matter and all of us matter. We do. We all matter. But your children's lives also matter. And it can't be that we don't want to go through a hassle and then now we're doing news and post because something has happened to your children. And it's that serious. It's that serious. So anyway, I just love y'all. I thank y'all for y'all continued support of my channel. But anyway, like I said, I wanted to just get this out to everybody to think about it. Think about it. Children's lives matter. Amen. Anyway, I love you. God bless. And may the peace of the Lord be with you. Bye, y'all.